Hi, I'm Joni Martin. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator located in Southwest Wisconsin, and I'm here today to share one of my Merry Monday Christmas cards. Every Monday, July through December, I share a Christmas card idea with you. Today, we're going to use the Storybook Gnomes paper pack and make a really pretty Christmas card that has no gnomes. I can't wait to share it with you. Hi, this is the pretty card we're going to make, and as I said, we're making it with the Storybook Gnomes paper. And as it's called, it has gnomes in it. Look at some of these cute little gnomes. But not all the papers have gnomes in it, and we're going to use one. We're using this corner one right here. See these trees? So the paper has a repeating pattern, and when you have a paper like that, it's really flexible. So we have a pattern here with the hills and the trees, and it repeats here. So when you want to use this to make a card front, your standard card front is 4 by 5 1/4. And remember, you can find all the directions below in my blog. So here's our standard card front. If I cut this at 5 1/4, I can get 3 card fronts here and 3 more here. So your 12 by 12 paper will make 6 card fronts. Okay, let's make this card. Let's look at the other pieces we're going to want for the card. Our card base, which you're putting your card pieces on, is Knight of Navy. This is the card front I was telling you about. And I always include a little piece that I might want to use to decorate my envelope flap. Because honestly, if you're making a card this pretty, don't you want to give a little hint first before when they open it, when it gets in the mail? It's going to want to make it will make them want to open your card first. We need 2 4 by 5 1/4. This is the size that you're cutting to put inside your card. We're also using it on the front of our card. Did you notice this small tag here? This I cut from our 6 by 6 craft paper, and I used the smallest banner piece in the stylish shape banners. And again, all supplies are listed in the link below. I used this because it picked up the browns from the card and it was easy to stamp on, so you could see what you stamped on it. And sometimes I grab a little scrap that I want to use for something else, and I'll show you how to do that. Let's begin with stamping first. So we're going to stamp the inside of our card, and we're going to stamp this little tag first. And if you've watched me before, you know I love to stamp with the Stamparatus. It lets me make sure I get a great stamp the first time, and if I don't, I can just re-ink because nothing moves. And when I'm making multiple cards, I don't need to keep resetting up my stamps. So on my Stamparatus, I have outlined the shape of my card. This is the card insert. And I've outlined the shape of the tag. So I'm going to use the magnets. The magnets on a Stamparatus are really strong. I tape them with duct tape, so if they would fly together, they're less likely to shatter, and by putting little handles on them, then I can pull them apart. The other trick for using your Stamparatus is stick a plate under a stamp case under your plate. It just will lay flatter and easier to ink. I'm using sentiments from Peaceful Deer. I'm using the Merry Christmas, and I'm using Sending Love and Peace this season. I just felt like that was a good match for this because it's such a peaceful scene. When you're inking up your stamps, you want to use kind of a light touch. Sometimes people think if they push really hard, they'll get more ink on their stamps. Really, when you push hard, you're just kind of pushing the ink away from your stamps. And because you're using a Stamparatus, if you didn't get enough ink, it isn't as dark as you wanted, you can just ink it again. So let's lay this down. Now this is where you want to use the muscle, right here. Let's see how that looks. Okay, this looks great. This not so much. So I'm going to re-ink here, and I'm just going to pull this out of the way so that when I close my plate again, I don't muck that up. So I'm going to ink again here. And this is darker. It's going to need a little more ink. Let's see how we're doing now. I find that sometimes for me it's easier to use the heel of my hand. Oh, that looks great. Well, that was pretty easy. So we'll set that aside. And next we're going to emboss. So when you're looking here, you can see that this isn't flat. So I started with this, and we're going to end up with this. That just adds some interest. I'm using the wintry embossing folder. There's a set of 2 in here, and notice they're the 3-inch. So if you're using a mini cut and emboss, they would work. And for something like this where you only need to emboss like the top half of your card, it's perfect. Let's get the ink out of the way. I'm using a cut and emboss. That's a Stampin' Up machine that cuts and embosses. Similar to a Big Shot. You may have that. One of the things I love about this machine is it helps me remember what plates I need in what order. Do you go to cut and think, oh, what's the sandwich I need to use, is what we often say. So if we're embossing, and this is one of our thick embossing folders, it's called a 3D embossing folder, and it tells me I need a plate 1 and a plate 4. So one's going down, and when you emboss, you want to make sure Stampin' Up is at the top, and they provide this line here for me, and that makes sure that it's straight. Really, with an overall snowflake design, it doesn't matter, but this does matter. You don't want it coming across the top because then it's not embossed up there. So I kind of slide it right below, and you can look in here and see which design you're going to have. Then I'm going to lay it down, fold first. It told me a 1 and a 4. So I'm going to roll that through. Oops, and it's going to make a little noise. That's okay. We'll get this out of the way. And look at that. Pretty, pretty. So we don't care about this down here. It's going to be covered up. We just care about that beautiful snowflake. I'm getting my cut and emboss machine out of the way, and we're going to move on. So here's our card front. And we want to be able to see that, and we kind of want the vision of the hills. And the hills will be a little different depending on where you cut your paper. But this is what we're going to do next. We're just cutting. It doesn't have to be perfect. And in fact, cut a little bit into the blue, and then if you don't cut straight, it's not as noticeable. The trick with paper cutting is, or fussy cutting, is your scissors stay straight and you move the paper. Not exactly what we'd think, right? But that's the way to get the best cuts. There we go. Look at how straight my scissors is. Okay, that's easy. And see what I have left here? That's where I grab that scrap for something. We're now going to attach it. And to add a little interest, we're going to pop it up. Stampin' Up! Dimensionals will do that for you. Think of them as a piece of foam that's sticky on both sides. You don't need a lot, but you do want to catch these points of the hills. And then maybe one on each side. Then we're going to peel off the back. And if your fingers don't do it for you, you can take your pick tool, or you could use the end of your snips. Just something to get in there and catch that back. Just like that. These little things will land everywhere. All right, they're out of our way. Now I want to line this up with the bottom. And I don't really want to see any of that white. There we go. Like so. How easy was that? Okay. Let's do our card base. For me, if I get a straight fold, it's easier if I start on a line. That's why I love my grid paper. I'm going to go over like this and give it a good crease. Then I'm going to come along with my bone folder and crease again. All right. We're almost there, guys. All we're going to do is assemble. This is going on here. And I'm going to use a little green glue. You could use a tape runner, whatever. You want to attach it flat because you've already popped up the front. And again, I get it straighter if I start straight. So we have that. Let's put this on the inside, but before we do that, let's grab that little scrap of paper I was showing you. And the card insert is pretty, and I know many of you will write a note. I'm not so good at that. I mostly just sign them and send them. But you might want to add a little more interest. So look how easy this is. This is just a scrap. You probably would have thrown away anyway. This is 1/2 inch wide, is how wide I made it. You can do whatever you want. And I'm going to attach this right here. And I'm using my grid paper 1/4 of an inch down. It isn't so much about how far down it is, it's that that helps me keep it straight across. But that just kind of up the inside of the card a little bit, made it a little prettier. All right, and it looks like I have a little coming off the end. And yes, you can tell. So let's use our card insert as a guide, and we'll just trim it up. There we go. All right, we're going to put that on the inside. This is the kind of card you could make multiples of. You could, one night die cut all the card fronts or trim them all, and then when you went to assemble, it would come together pretty quick. This is going on the inside, like so. Right like that. And because I have the green glue, I can kind of move it around to get it where I want. All right. Before we attach this little tag, we're going to add a Wink of Stella. And let's see if we can tell the difference. This one has Wink of Stella, this one doesn't. See how this is kind of flat? You can tell it's snow. But here it kind of looks shiny. I'll show you how I did that. This is Wink of Stella. It's like a glitter brush. And when you first, if it's been sitting on your table for a while and you haven't used it, you want to shake it up really good. And then I'm just kind of adding it like it's, a little bit of snow here and there. I'm putting it on the trees. Look how quick and easy that was. And while I give that a second just to dry before I add my tag, let's do our envelope flap. Oh, there's one of those backings. So with the envelope, it's a little easier if you open it this way. And my paper has a direction, meaning there's a top and a bottom to the print. I want the top of my print to be at the top of the envelope flap. So it's going to go right there. You just need a touch of green glue, and you want the green glue around the outside. That kind of seals the paper so it doesn't catch on something else, like a postal machine, and doesn't get ripped off. I'm going to hold this up, and I'm going to push this against it, like so. We'll give our green glue there a second to set up, and we'll come back to our Wink of Stella here. I'm going to glue this down flat because, again, this is already popped up with a dimensional. And we don't want to get it so thick it's going to cost you extra postage to mail. There's our tag. It can really go anywhere on the bottom. I think I'll put it right here. Okay, how quick and easy was this Christmas card? All we have left to do is to go back and trim our envelope flap. Like so. This is such an easy way to add interest to your envelopes. Someone will get this Christmas card from you, and it'll be the first one they want to open. There we are. There is our Storybook Gnomes Christmas card. Thanks for watching my YouTube video. If you liked what you saw, please hit subscribe below. Until I see you next time, keep creating. It's good for you.